Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. I'm so excited because we're going to talk about mental health, and we have got the visionary and executive producer, Tanya Simmons Reid, and it is the SoundMinds Conference. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us, and also Tanya is a friend as well. I always like to kind of fit that in there too. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me for this important conversation. I was honored when I got the email.
Well, I was happy when you accepted. So before we kind of get into discussion really about mental health and mental wellness, I want to talk about the Sound Minds Conference. Like, what made you decide to really start this?
So let's say the full name because it's really important for me that we
Okay.
say Sound Mental Health Awareness and Solutions Conference. And that was
Okay.
because our journey, my family's journey, started in 2019 with one of our children going through a mania at the time that we had no idea what a mania episode was. But once we started to learn the process, and then our child received a diagnosis of a mental illness diagnosis. Let me be clear on that. I was like, God, why? Why us? Why us? You always want to know, why are we going through this? Like, we thought everything was good. And he was like, now you go out and help other people. And, because I believe that we go through our pain to get to our purpose. This has become such an important platform to curate conversations. That's what we do, is curate conversations with mental health professionals, mental health advocates, and those with lived experience who are willing to be vulnerable and transparent so that we can all become better advocates for ourselves, for our family members, for those in our community, those we work with. It's important. And so we raise awareness and we talk about solutions. How can I be a better advocate? What could I have done different? What are things I can do for my loved one or for my next door neighbor or for someone I don't know in my community, but I see that they're going through a mental health crisis? So that's the basis. That's why I started it alongside, my husband's supports and our children. Of course, our child who did receive the diagnosis, a little apprehensive at first, wasn't very involved, but I can say now that they are more involved. They come to me all the time, like, what are we doing next with Sound Minds? And so it's really been a blessing. And I see that we were not the only ones by any means. And our focus is on the Black and Hispanic communities because we did see a lot of disparities. We did see some treatment things that happened that we don't believe would have happened had we not been the color, the ethnicity that we were, and their preconceived stereotypes. And also in our communities, we don't have the conversations. So I'm so happy that we're having that now.
That takes me to my second question about the conversations. Because what are some of the things that really prevent us from really getting the resources and the help we need, And how does, well, I guess it's getting into my next question, but really, what are some of the things? Because I think it hinders us, like you said, we don't have the conversations, or, we'd rather sometimes hide those things. And I'm very open and let people know I have a therapist now, and I'm so excited about it because I have somebody to talk to. So and doing what you do, what are some of the things you see just hinder us?
I think it goes back generations. It's not a proactive conversation. It's more reactive when we're in that state of crisis or trauma. And I think that we tend to internalize so many things, when we really reflect on our past. There are things that we don't even remember our past. Our mind protects us automatically. It just blocks it out. We don't even remember things, But I think that those are the things that prevent us is not being ashamed of what we're experiencing, being able to verbalize it, and also on the other side, us being better listeners to our family members and to anyone in our circle that is trying to express that something is going on. Sometimes we kind of knock it off, and because we're so busy in our own personal lives, or because even our own personal lives, we may not be attentive to things that we need to address for ourselves, and we just keep going and going and going and going. And when people do say, like when we say, how are you doing? That's like, hi, really. It's not really a question. We don't stop. And if I say, how are you doing today, Janet? And you're like, I'm not doing well. Okay. Or I've walked on, you know what I'm saying? Instead of really looking and saying, oh, wow, what's wrong? Is there anything I can do to help you? How are you feeling? Do you want to talk? Things like that. So I think that's where it really starts, is knowing that it's okay not to be okay, and finding a safe space, a safe person to talk to.
And you're right, Tanya, because so as you were talking, I was thinking about a conversation I had with a client where, going through her mother's things. And she said something, and I had to stop. She said, I don't feel like I did enough. And she's carrying that guilt. And I was like, you did enough. I said, when you saw your mother was changing in sizes, getting smaller, you went out and bought her a whole new wardrobe. You made sure she was comfortable. She was basically crying. I said, you did enough. And you're right with sometimes how you're doing. We just kind of, somebody says, okay, and you could tell that they're not. And sometimes that's when, like you said, we need to just maybe just pause and say, hey, how you doing? And sometimes I even tell people it's not necessarily you have to solve the problem, but sometimes you may have to direct them to somebody who can.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And that's important, because we can't think, we are not, I don't give diagnosis, I don't give prognosis, but I do know how to lead people to resources where they can get that from a professional.
and you're right, you're right. So, as we are in a new year, and there's so many different things going on in our lives, in our communities, in the world, how does somebody just maybe listen to this conversation and say, okay, maybe I do need to move forward, or maybe I do need to reach out to somebody and maybe share a resource or two with them? How do we go about doing that?
I think that number one, I want to acknowledge and recognize the person who does say, I need some help, because that's really the first step, right? Is admitting to yourself that something's not right. I need some help. And if that is said to you, if someone does come to you and say that they need help, or someone is listening right now who does need help, the key would be to go to a resource. There, 988 is the crisis line. We can just call 988. We do have some resources listed on our website as well at soundmindsconference.com, because sometimes, like, veterans may want to go to call the veterans number. We have that number. There's a caregiver desk, right? Caregiving is hard. That's more of us are becoming caregivers every minute, and it doesn't matter what age you are, right? And so it's important. We have that line, the National Caregivers line. Then there's also the crisis line. And then for anyone who feels like they need help right away, they don't want to continue living the life that they're living. And so I also recommend, put those numbers in your phone, just like you put other people's numbers in your phone. If someone needs help, you have them in your phone, and you can text them to them, or repeat them out loud for them. But then you don't have to go, you become an advocate and a resource vehicle, I'll say. So if you notice someone isn't feeling, their normal self, or you see things happening, a doctor who works with us, he's part of our Sound Minds family. He always says we have two ears, one to hear what the person is saying and one to hear what the person is not saying. And so it's important that we are able, because majority of communication is nonverbal. And so are you watching those in your circle, seeing what's different? I never wear makeup, but all of a sudden you see me with a face full for a week straight, or something's not right. What's going on, Tanya? Even if it's, well, I've just decided to up my game. This helps me feel better. Okay, then all right, this is a way she's protecting her sanity, she's feeling better, this is helping drive her. But then if it's not that and something else could be going on, you just never know. Don't disregard a sign as nothing. It's better to ask than not to ask, to make sure that that person is okay.
That's good. It's better to ask than not to ask. I liked it. So, Tanya, did organization play any role as you were providing support for your child?
So, yes, organization plays a role to help me maintain my sanity. I'll start to see things piling, or it could be mail, whatever. And I'm like, okay, plus I know that decluttering, organization also is important to my husband. And sometimes we get immune to stuff and we ignore it. And one thing, so I've learned that helps me be a better person too. As far as my child, absolutely. The diagnosis is a bipolar diagnosis that they have, and which can be extreme mania or extreme depression. And so what I've learned is that, and I'm sure you can attest to this, clutter can create depression. And so being able to, I, as a parent raising children, usually it's like, clean your room, do this, that's your responsibility. All I ask you to do is clean your room. But I had to understand as an advocate that they just don't have the energy or the willpower. They can't clean the room, even if maybe in their head somewhere they want to clean the room. It's not a choice. And I can say that over and over and keep saying it and keep stressing myself out internally. Or I can get up and help the space be clearer for their thought process or what they're going through, and know that it's okay, even if I do that and a few hours later, the next day is back to where it was, but go back and do it again. And that can be frustrating. And that's why advocacy, learning the tools to be a better advocate, is so important. And I realized I can't take it personal, but it's my responsibility. My husband, we know that if we can go in and grab the sheets and wash them and clean the room, when they're not there, and be able to create a space and organize the shoes and, all the things in their room, then it's going to help leave a better ambiance, a cleaner air to me, and we're definitely people of faith, and it's going to open up for, God to do what he has to do in that room. So,
And you're right. You're right.
mhm.
You're so right. Because I mean, I worked with someone who had autism, and it was amazing. Just the person just allowed me to come into the space and work side by side with me.
They
That
watched
was,
you, huh?
and they watched me, yes, and I let them watch me. And I even asked, like, "Is this? Do we want to keep this? Do we want to get rid of this?" And
Mhm.
they were really open to just getting rid of things. I said, "No, I'm not ready." Okay, fine. So you're right. It does like open
Mhm.
up just that mental capacity. So
Right. Because
thank you
that's
so
interesting you said that they were with you, because one thing I've learned even with my child is that I have to be clear as to where I place things, because they'll think that I stole them, or what did I do with this? And so I have to pay attention and just not go in there, because sometimes we can just go in and ransack things, throw things away, but you don't. I have to be more conscious and sensitive to that. This little thing that may be nothing to me may be important to them, and so having that's how you build trust too, right? Because then they think, oh, you're in the room, don't touch my stuff, it's like, I'm not gonna take anything, I'm just helping, and it is what it is.
and you understand. I mean, you understand. That's what I think. Sometimes that's what people are afraid to have. Sometimes organizers come and they're like, "Oh, they're gonna just throw
Mhm.
stuff, throw anything away you do not want me to." So, um, well, thank you
That's
so much.
good, that's good.
But yeah, because you have to respect the space, and you also have to, like, he now respects you and your husband going in there and doing what you need to do because
Some
they know.
days.
Well, okay, well, all right, well,
Depends on the day, but yes, but for the
but yeah,
most part.
like yeah,
But
you know,
yes, and
yeah.
there's, even with what you're doing, like, there's so many memories to things, and we never know what that piece of paper or whatever that may be. But yeah, that's so good. That's so
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's true. And I mean, Tanya, I still, sometimes I still get pushback. It's like, oh no, So I truly understand. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. So, how can people connect with you? Attend your conferences. I know you have regular meetings and you have all kind of resources on your website.
Yeah, so the main thing, two things I would recommend. One is to sign up to stay connected with us on our homepage of our website. If you scroll down, there's a way that you can put in your email address and stay connected. We send out an Advocacy Matters newsletter once a month, and we would love to keep people in the loop with we talk about different topics, things that are going on, including caregiving, menopause. We talk about stress, workplace, mental health in the workplace, just different types of topics. We also have our Protecting My Sanity playlist song recommendations. Music is my therapy and, is one of my therapies, I should say. But I love music, and music does a lot for people in general if you look at the studies and the research. And so we started pushing, promoting, having your Protecting My Sanity playlist on your phone, on your computer. So whenever you're feeling a certain way and you just need to, get encouraged and just come up in your thoughts and feelings, then you have those songs that you like, so we recommend songs for people for that. But that's the best way. We do keep our calendar in there as well so that people know what's coming up. If you are watching and you have a mental health organization and you have any events coming up, um, we would, if you send us information, we'll also review that and, you know, could feature your event in our newsletter as well, because we are, again, an advocacy organization bringing resources, information, education to our community. And other than that, I would say please follow us. We're trying to grow our network. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We're at SoundMinds Conference. So at SoundMinds Conference, and you'll stay in the loop there as well. And we do have a YouTube channel where we put up our sessions, our conversations that we've had that people can listen to, even our conference. Our conference is annual. It's held in July during Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we're excited because this year we'll be in Philadelphia. So that'll be July 10th. So if you stay connected, you'll find out where and how to register and all of that.
And of course, those of you listening, watching, know I will have all of those links in the show page. And also, I'm going to challenge you because this is something I'm going to do. I'm going to sign up to her newsletter. And what I am going to do, because I'm going to start forwarding it just one by one to different people in my circle. Some of those people are related to me. Yes, family, Taylor family, you're going to be getting a newsletter from me. But at least that's our way of just doing a little bit of advocacy out being, not feeling out of our comfort zone. Because we always forward all kind of stuff. We know we do. So let's forward something positive. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. And I want to make sure that you're doing self-care for you too, Janet, because you are always giving, giving, giving and making an impact. And so, are you good?
Yes, I told you I have a therapist, and I also have a friend who is like an outdoors person. So we do walks. She got me riding a bike. She's got me doing all. So I do. So that's
Oh,
like my
that's
fun.
great.
Yes, so that's my
Yes.
fun time. So yes, and thank you so much for asking, Tom.
Thank you, Janet.